Okay, meeting come to order. All the members of the License and Health Committee are present. So we have one item first from Ariana McCarthy, but she's not here the way it looks.
I don't believe she is here. And one quick point of clarification, Mr. Chair, if I could. A few of these matters have not been referred to council yet, and so I would say items 1 and 4 can be acted on now. 2, 3, and 5 would just be discussion items. Kind of
Yeah.
streamline the process for the recess meeting later.
2, 3, and 5, right?
2, 3, and 5, I believe,
Okay.
right? Can't be voted on. So, speaking to number 1 then, Ariana McCarthy, was she sent a letter to appear?
Yes.
Okay, so she was sent a letter to appear. She does have, I think it was held in November because she had a pending OWI that has been resolved as of early December, and she was convicted of an OWI second offense.
So has she been taking classes, right? Or she has any updates on that? or-
I don't have any updates on that. It is a requirement for all OWIs that you have to take an AODA assessment.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Alderman Rose.
this is the woman that we saw at our last meeting, and she was
Yes.
going to get us paperwork, correct? As to her completion of the class? You don't
Maybe,
recall?
I don't think I was there.
Okay.
So what is the determination of our committee to holding it at this point, or,
This is, what number time is this that she was supposed to be here?
well, she was supposed to be here tonight,
She
right?
was here the last time. You
Yeah,
might-
she was
The one that
here.
was gonna bring us that
Yeah.
paperwork
Right.
information?
So you might want to hold it till,
Yeah, we can hold it. I mean, that's the
I
wishes of
recommend
the...
we hold it.
We hold it?
Right.
Make a motion to hold.
Second.
All in favor of the motion to hold it?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it. So then we move on to item 2, which is 2021-1481, new Class A/B license application for BNS Mart LLC DBA BNS Mart 7920 West National Avenue, West Dallas, Wisconsin 53219. Agent TLAC KC. He's here? No, he's not here. So I understand he applied for the Class A license, right?
Class A beer only, correct?
Right.
This is a new license, so the committee would have pretty broad discretion on whether to grant or deny it. Again, this is not, we can't vote on it right now. There was a discussion going back and forth that the property had gone through a request to transfer the license that did not go through. There is no current license at that location at this point in time.
I just,
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Copy of it.
For a point
Bishop.
of clarification, this particular individual is the owner of State Fair Liquor on 81st, am I correct?
That I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I believe,
think so, yes,
if my
yes.
memory serves me, he's looking to potentially move his business over there. And I know he wanted to do liquor and beer, and he came up with this plan that he was going to build onto. He was working with Steve Scher. I think at the time when we heard that, we were not in consensus of approval there. So I'd like more information, if anything, going forward, to have clarity as to what actually is transpiring, because what I recall also is that if he was going to transfer that, or it is approved, that he was going to surrender his other. And I believe that's the backstory that I
So-
recall,
so
but
the-
it's been several
The
months,
new
so.
location would be 779 West National.
Correct, which is the gas station.
Gas station, okay.
So that's what he wants to do. He wants to bring beer over to the gas station, and I don't know what he's planning on doing with his liquor store, but I think Steve Scher has been working with him for at least a year to try to find an appropriate location for him to move his business to.
So what's the wishes of the committee, to holding it, or?
Well, we're not voting on this,
We're not
correct?
voting on- No, you
Right.
can't vote
Can't
on
vote
it.
at this point.
He's not
Okay,
here.
so it just gets held over, correct?
Well, it'll be addressed, I believe, at the recess meeting, but
Okay.
there can be discussions at this point about what you intend to do, sure.
Okay, I think there's just too many variables that I'm not, in support of at this point.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes.
there's one more thing to bring up about this one, is on the application, there is the time for the sale was to begin at 6 o'clock a.m. Statutorily, that's okay, but the statutes allow the city to amend that time to be more strict. And so our earliest time to sell beer from a Class A is 8 o'clock a.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. So that would
9
be another-
PM, right?
Correct. So that'd be another thing to make sure is addressed.
All right.
And, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
And if I may add on that opening time, I would say, I don't have any facts here in front of me, but 90% of the liquor outlets start at 9 AM in the morning. All of the liquor stores, retail outfits start at 9.
so that's our wishes. If, I mean, if you want to,
Well, that's just a discussion item.
I think, well, it's discussion, but we can move forward with that, you know, once come the time, you know, so, so at this point, we kind of holding it, or, right, until,
Well, we'll hear it at recess, correct?
recess, yes,
Okay.
yeah, until recess.
I have no more to discuss.
Okay, great. So then we move forward with item 3, ordinance to authorize an insurance provisional retail alcohol license to certain applicants and restrict applicants who have been recently denied it. So I understand, I believe it's not a bad idea, you know, after 6 months, if somebody come forward, we cannot really deny them after the fact.
Correct. I believe this item, Mr. Chair, was discussed that we were going to move forward because a lot of applicants have to go through all the procedural process to open, and they need to sign off on that. But in the interim of that, the license, if I'm correct, is not approved until kind of that final stage. And this is going to help these businesses to open. They still have to, if I'm correct, they have to come before license for approval. So this just gives it opportunity for a business entrepreneur that's coming through to go through the 5 phases of getting everything checked off and then still coming back to
coming back,
license
sure,
for
that's
for
fine.
the final word.
So any further discussions from the
Sure.
committee? Mr. Alderman Rhodes?
This is once they've been denied, correct? They can't come back
two
for another
parts.
6
Two
months?
parts to it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I can answer that. So there's 2
Okay.
parts to the ordinance that are being changed. The first part is for this provisional license to be issued. And so once the the License and Health Committee approves a license, it can be held for an indiscriminate amount of time at the Common Council level. And so there's this interim period between when they could get approved and here, and when they would be finally approved through Common Council, because it still needs the Common Council approval. What that first part of the amendment would do is allow the clerk's office to issue a provisional license when the License and Health Committee has already approved a license. So for example, if there is an entity that was approved in License and Health, but they have to get their occupancy, and the next meeting for this entity to get that done isn't until January. If they get it accomplished within a day or 2 and provide that information to meet all those requirements to the clerk's office could issue that provisional license so they can operate until that actually gets formally approved by council. That's the first amendment. The second amendment then would be to curtail kind of these duplicate applications from coming through. And so if an applicant is denied for whatever reason, they can't reapply within 6 months of the denial.
Okay.
Yes.
And I wonder if we could change that 6 months to 1 year to tie it into, like our special use, if there's a, let's just say a tattoo parlor and it goes out of business. And after 1 year and 1 day, they have to someone has to reapply. It can't be a tattoo parlor again, check cashing, anything. Could we make it a year?
I understand what you're saying. So you're talking about if
Tie it into
there's-
that grandfather clause.
If there's you're talking about if like a special use permit, if it's not used for a year, then.
Correct.
Okay. And
Can't we
so
tie that
how would
in?
how would that coincide? I guess is my question.
Let's make it uniform, a year.
Okay. It's up to the committee, whatever language.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Christian.
Alderman Rowe, what would be the purpose of that? I mean,
I
the
just
6-month.
think consistency.
Okay. I believe it was discussed that the 6-month window made most sense. Rebecca, do you have anything to weigh in on that, how that would work with the clerk's office?
The only thing I would say was that would be if you moved it to 1 year, that would require everyone to get a special use.
Okay.
I mean, if that's the intent of,
Yeah, and that kind of goes against what our, well, at least that, as I understood it, to make it more efficient.
And Mr. Chair, one more
Mr.
point.
Chair.
Sorry, go ahead.
Nick, don't we have something in place already for licenses?
You may be thinking of if a license is revoked, that they can't reapply for a period of time. This is a denial. And so say somebody comes in front of the committee to apply for operational, Class A, Class B, whatever it may be, and the committee denies them.
Right.
It's to kind of, I believe, save some repetitive work for the clerk's office.
And for the neighbors that might have to continue coming in if the person
Sure.
keeps applying.
Now, Mr. Chair. go
Is
ahead.
there,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
Good.
And how many months or year, or is there a year for that one as well?
For the revocation, it is a year, and so that's trying not to have this place that we've just revoked just reapply right away. There needs to be a penalty in place.
Exactly.
That's more of a, and I don't want to, I hesitate to say the word penalty, but that's when there's been a bad act that took place that we revoked that license. This is different. This is when somebody just applies for it, they can't reapply shortly thereafter. And then, Mr. Chair, I want to have one more point of
Yes.
just, so I talked with Attorney Decker on this one too, and I brought up a concern about if we go that 6 months and somebody was denied, say, for an operational license based on their conviction record, we have that chapter 111.335 in the state code that talks about necessitating or allowing or requiring the committee to give them a chance to prove rehabilitation. And so I just brought it up, saying that I worry. And so Cale pointed out that he thinks, and is his opinion, that the ordinance as proposed is fine, but that section, that 111.335, has been untested, basically in litigation. And so there may be an option to amend the language for that second part only, to allow applicants who have competent evidence of rehabilitation to reapply, but only living at that single condition. But it's up to the committee if that's language that you're concerned about. Again, Cale's perspective is this is untested waters, and the safest route may be to add this language, but he thinks that we're probably in good shape either way.
The fact would be that we could be in some way in litigation with somebody applicant, right? If we deny them, right?
That's what I brought up.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't trying to muddy the waters by any means, or I think the ordinance, again, either way could work. My proposal, or a proposal could be, hold on one second. The way it reads right now is qualifications, in addition to the qualifications under Chapter 125.045 of the Wisconsin statutes, no license related to alcohol beverages may be issued to any person who has had any license denied within the prior 6 months. And then the potential addition that hopefully wouldn't eat that whole rule is, comma, unless the applicant has competent evidence of rehabilitation pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 111.335 for convictions that were considered by the committee previously. So it only would be related to those convictions considered previously for those applicants that would hit it. I don't want to make a rule that, or an exception that swallows the rule that would be meaningless and invalidate the potential gains for the city or the neighbors, but that's just something to consider.
Any further questions from the committee members?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just want to reiterate, we discussed this prior to,
Yes.
we did have discussion on bringing this forward. And at that time, all due respect to Alderman Road, we didn't mention the 1 year. I think we were all in consensus that it was the 6 month. I'm happy with the recommendation of our city attorneys that the 6 month would make most sense, and also for the clerk's office. So I don't see any reason to amend it. I don't want to step on your toes, Alderman Road. I would make a
No, it's
motion to
explained
approve.
perfectly by Rebecca.
Okay, all right.
We'd have to renew or go through
Okay,
that whole
so
process.
you're
and
fine
thank
with
you
it
for
if
that.
I make a motion to approve as is?
So on the
We can
emotion,
Vote on these. We have to wait.
Oh, we have to wait. I'm sorry.
Was this, I didn't see it on the, okay, so this one, yes, it has to wait.
Okay, thank you.
so we don't vote on
Nope.
You'll vote on it in like hopefully an hour.
an hour.
We're holding you to that.
Oh,
We're just talking about what we're
We're
voting
just
on
talking
tonight.
about, all right.
Fun stuff.
So at this time, we move forward with item 4, sign finding and the recommendations, Sampson and complaints in the matter of complaints against the GSC Pub and Grub, 8028 West National Avenue. Agent Jeffrey Clark. Mr. Clark, can you come forward?
All the way up there or here?
All the way here.
Well, that's, yeah, I think that'd be better. We're not really going to discuss anything tonight.
You can have a seat,
You
Mr.
can have a seat. But the only questions that I have on the questions of the, either you admitted or denied it, or,
And Mr. Chair, if I
yeah,
if I
yes,
could
go
briefly,
ahead,
so.
go ahead.
I did have a discussion with Mr. Clark prior to this point and explained kind of generally what the process is for today's hearing. And basically, as you said, there's either the option to admit or deny. Admitting means we would go to a new date and potentially sentence. Deny means you would preserve that ability to challenge it, and we would schedule a date for that hearing. I can tell you that I've had a meaningful conversation with Mr. Clark, and so I guess I'll leave it open to Mr. Clark at this point. I have two questions. One is, you received the summons and complaint in this matter, and you were served that document?
Yes.
Okay. And then, have you made a decision on admitting or denying the allegations in the complaint?
I would deny.
Okay. And so, again, there's no discussion at this point. What will happen then is we'll work with the clerk's office and schedule a date for that hearing, and you and I will have discussions going forward about where we go from here, okay?
Okay.
All right. Any other questions from the committee on that matter unrelated to the content of the summons and complaint?
No.
Any questions from the committee?
No?
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next one is item 5, November 2021, Police Department Tyrants Violations Call for Service Report. Any questions? I believe everything are in place. If any concern, anybody has?
No.
So we move a motion to place on file?
No. Motion placed on file.
Can't yet, but we'll be able to do so in an hour.
We didn't learn from the first 4.
And that's the recommendation from the clerk's office, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll discuss that at recess. We'll make that
Oh, I thought it
motion.
was just 2,
All
3,
right.
and 4, you said, but
That's, yeah,
All
that's
right.
what I thought too.
So is that all we have for business, Mr. Chair?
I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of the adjournment?
Aye.
You notice this?
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Whoa.